Hello everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video, and another one in the series in which I'm taking a closer look at the full discography of David Bowie. And today we have arrived in 1975 with this album, Young Americans. Now, the discussion of Young Americans to this channel is not entirely new because a couple of videos ago I did tell the story of the Gouster, which was the blueprint for Young Americans. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's a demo version of the album. I think the Gouster has a different attitude. It has a different set list. It has about 3 different songs. These might be considered 2 different versions, 2 different albums based on the same idea. And that same idea is Bowie Goes Soul. And it's an interesting turn point in his career. Now, for this review, I was lucky enough to be listening to a first US copy with the gold label, the gold RCA Victor label, and the original inner sleeve. I like it when these things are included, which I found by coincidence. I wasn't necessarily looking for Young Americans, but then I walked into a record shop in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is some sort of a vinyl Valhalla because there are so many record shops in a very small frame of space, and just keeping your eyes open, you can get lucky. And I was very lucky because this album may have been mixed in Soho Sound London. Oh no, Soundhouse London. Soundhouse London. It's recorded in Philadelphia. I assume that David Bowie, because he was pretty often in the US, this was his US period, I assume that he listened to the US mastering of this album to agree on. But that's an assumption. Putting it on, listening to this first US copy, it's gorgeous. It's a full-bodied, warm-sounding pressing, and I have never enjoyed this album more than listening to it on this piece of vinyl. Now, the soul of... Actually, this is a soul album. You know, it's a Plastic Soul, Bowie's Plastic Soul album. The soul of this is somewhat different than from the Gouster. The Gouster is much rougher. These sessions were brilliantly recorded by Tony Visconti. He did. I mean, the sound of the Gouster is raw. It's rough, but it's brilliantly recorded. You hear what I imagine to be room reverb. You hear the interaction of the band. It has a beautiful, direct, gorgeous, raw sound. Nice and dry. I like that. This album is not dry at all. It's full-bodied, warm, slick. It's much more chocolate-like, a chocolate sound. And Bowie did a lot of things. He worked with a lot of interesting artists to get this done. Let's be frank. If you take a look at the guitarists here, it's Carlos Alomar, brilliant guitar player. Bowie himself, got John Lennon on the guitar here for Across the Universe and Fame, and then Earl Slick, brilliant guitar players. If you take a look at the backing vocals, I mean Bowie himself, the backing vocals, Ava Cherry, I forgot Ava Cherry's name in the Gouster video because Bowie was dating Ava Cherry, and Ava Cherry was of a big influence to Bowie and this album. Robin Clark, Gene Weinberg, Anthony Hinton, John Lennon again, Jane Millington, Warren Peace, Diane Sumler, and Luther Vandross. I mean, this is clearly a full-packed, warm-bodied, big-sounding album of Bowie's, and this one starts off with the title track Young Americans, which is, I mean, it's one of his big hits. It's a phenomenal sound. I really like it. Great opener. Then we get to Win and Fascination and Ride, which are basically, yeah, they're good songs. They're good songs. They do not catch me in the same way as the Gouster catches me. It's gotta do with the difference in attitude. But then you get to Somebody Up There Likes Me, which sounds incredible here. And then something happens which is, in my opinion, somewhat problematic. Across the Universe. Now, Across the Universe is a Beatles song. And as a matter of fact, I really love the version on the Beatles' Let It Be Naked. And even John Lennon later on said, and I can't help it. If I'm gonna quote John Lennon, I'm gonna do the most horrible impression of him. John Lennon later on said, "I didn't understand why I wanted to do Across the Universe. I didn't like it, but I didn't even like my own version." Now I do like John Lennon's version with the Beatles, and it's such a touching, sincere, and fragile and hopeful song. There is so much information in the way Lennon sings these lyrics, and Bowie goes full pin-ups on it, like he doesn't have a clue what the song is all about. And what I guess was going on was Bowie went into Electric Lady Studios with John Lennon, one of his big heroes. They recorded Fame, and Fame, I'm gonna get later on to that in the video. No, you know what? I'll say it right now. Fame is a fucking masterpiece. It's incredible, and the way it sounds here, the riff, the vibe, it's the funkiest thing that David Bowie has ever done, and it's one of his big masterpieces. The collaboration with John Lennon was really fruitful in that regard. But I think he wanted to impress Lennon or let him leave his mark even more because he's, of course, a Lennon fan and a Beatles fan. And that got Across the Universe on here. Now, I gotta compare it to the Gouster. And then the Gouster wins. For me, personally. Love this album. Love it nevertheless. But while the Gouster is missing Fame as an incredible song, it does have It's Gonna Be Me. Which is one of his best vocal performances. And the overall rawness of the Gouster. The Gouster tells me much more about the mental state of David Bowie, and that makes it such an incredible album. Nevertheless, I'll play this as well. It's incredible. There are great songs here. It has a great beginning. It has a great ending, but I just would call the Gouster more coherent. Nevertheless, this video is about Young Americans, and I should praise it for a beautiful, brilliant, and unique album in Bowie's discography, in his in the way his different genres influenced his musical career. It's quite an impressive record as well. So that's my review of Young Americans. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.